The space station called Meridian 7 floated in the darkness between stars. It was a huge place where many different alien species came to trade, talk, and live together. Hundreds of shops lined its metal hallways. Thousands of beings walked its corridors every day. It was supposed to be a place of peace. Stood near the main trading hall, watching the crowds move past her. She was a human diplomat, which meant her job was to talk to other species and keep everyone happy. She was good at her job because she never lost her temper. Other aliens often said that had the patience of a dying star. Today, however, something felt wrong. They had arrived. They came in 3 warships that docked at the station without asking permission. There were tall reptile-like creatures with green scales and yellow eyes. They walked on 2 legs like humans, but they were much bigger and much stronger. Their leader was called, and he had conquered many worlds in his lifetime. Walked through the trading hall like he owned it. His soldiers followed behind him, pushing aside anyone who moved too slowly. A small furry alien called was knocked to the ground. Did not even look back. Watched this happen from across the hall. He was a human freighter captain with a kind face and strong hands. He transported goods between space stations for a living. He was not a fighter, but he did not like what he was seeing. "They cannot do this," said quietly to himself. Myra stood beside him. She was a young human engineer who kept the station's machines running. She was small and quiet, the kind of person who preferred books to conversation, but her eyes were sharp as she watched the soldiers march past. "They are doing it," Myra replied, "and no one is stopping them." They set up a checkpoint in the middle of the trading hall. They announced that all lesser species would pay a tax to pass through. Anyone who refused would be punished. Walked toward them with calm steps. Other aliens moved out of her way, watching to see what would happen. "Excuse me," said politely. "This station is neutral territory. No species has the authority to demand payment from others here." Looked down at her. He was nearly 3 times her height. His yellow eyes studied her like she was an insect. "You are human," he said. "I have heard of your kind, soft, weak, full of feelings." He made a sound like laughter. "You are prey animals pretending to be people." The alien crowds grew silent. Everyone was watching now. Did not react. Her face remained calm and peaceful. "I am simply informing you of the station rules. All species are welcome here if they follow those rules." Leaned down until his face was close to hers. His breath smelled like rotting meat. "I do not follow rules made by prey." He turned away from her and continued his patrol. Watched him go. Her expression did not change, but who had known her for years noticed something shift behind her eyes. Over the next few days, the situation grew worse. They took what they wanted. They ate at restaurants and did not pay. They broke merchandise in shops and laughed at the owners. They threatened anyone who complained. A human merchant named had a small food stand in the market area. He was a big man with huge arms and a gentle smile. He had been a fighter once long ago, but now he only wanted to cook and make people happy. When they came to his stand, they demanded free food. Gave it to them without argument. But when they finished eating, they threw the dishes on the ground and crushed them under their feet. "Your food tastes like garbage," one soldier said, "just like your species." Said nothing. He bent down and began picking up the broken pieces. Other aliens whispered that humans truly were cowards. But Myra watched from nearby and she noticed something. Was not shaking with fear. His hands were perfectly steady. And when he looked up at the departing, there was something in his eyes that made Myra feel cold inside. The worst moment came on the 5th day. A human doctor named was treating a sick child in the medical bay. Was known throughout the station for her kindness. She treated every species equally, never asking for payment from those who could not afford it. A little human girl named was visiting the medical bay that day. She was only 7 years old, with bright eyes and a love for drawing pictures. She liked to give her drawings to the patients to make them feel better. Wandered too close to patrol in the hallway. The soldier did not give any warning. He simply swung his arm and struck the child across the face, fell to the ground with a cry of pain. "Keep your offspring away from warriors," the soldier said to no one in particular. Then he kept walking. Ran to and gathered the crying child in her arms. Other humans appeared quickly, surrounding them, checking to make sure was okay. Myra was there, arrived within minutes, came running from his food stand. They all looked at the small bruise forming on his cheek. And then something strange happened. They all grew quiet. Not the quiet of fear, not the quiet of shock, a different kind of quiet, the kind of quiet that comes before a storm so terrible that even the wind holds its breath. Other alien species noticed this silence. They had never seen humans act this way before. Normally, humans were emotional. They laughed loudly, cried openly, and expressed every feeling on their faces. But now every human on the station had the same empty expression, the same cold eyes, the same still hands. A warrior who had fought in many battles felt the hair on his neck stand up. He did not know why, but suddenly he wanted to be very far away from this place. The ambassador approached carefully. Are you all right? Your people seem strange." Looked at him. Her smile was perfectly polite, perfectly calm, but something behind that smile made the ambassador step backward. "We are fine," said softly. "We are just thinking." Across the station, humans began to move. They did not run. They did not shout. They simply started walking with purpose to different locations, as if following a plan that no one had spoken aloud. Heard about the strange behavior and laughed from his command post. "The prey animals are frightened," he told his officers. "They know their place now." He could not have been more wrong. The next 48 hours on Meridian 7 were strange. They continued their bullying. They took more goods without paying. They pushed more aliens to the ground. They laughed and drank and celebrated their power over the weak creatures of the station. But the humans did something no one expected. They did nothing. Or at least that is what it looked like. Was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been a soldier once, many years ago, in wars that most species had never heard of. Now he ran a small bar in the human quarter of the station. He served drinks to anyone who came through his door, human or alien. He was known for his quiet voice and his warm smile. On the morning after was struck, closed his bar to non-humans. A warrior came to the door expecting his usual drink, met him with an apologetic bow. "I am sorry, friend," said. "We are having a private event, humans only for the next few days." The was confused. What kind of event? Smile remained soft. "A family gathering, you understand." They did not understand, but he left anyway. Something about his calm made him uncomfortable. Across the station, other strange things began happening. Human merchants closed their shops. They did not put up angry signs or make loud complaints. They simply locked their doors and covered their windows. When asked why, they gave the same answer: personal business. Human families with children began leaving the station. Shuttles departed every few hours, filled with mothers and fathers and little ones. The parents did not look scared. They looked focused, like they had somewhere important to be. Myra spent her time in the engineering section. She worked on the station's systems with her usual quiet concentration, but she also made small changes that no one noticed. A door lock here, a camera angle there, tiny adjustments that would mean nothing to most people. But Myra was not most people. The ambassador grew more and more worried as he watched the humans. His species was timid and peaceful. They had survived for thousands of years by noticing danger before it arrived. And right now, every instinct in his body was screaming that something bad was coming. He found in her diplomatic office, writing messages on her computer. "May I speak with you?" the ambassador asked. Smiled and gestured for him to sit. "Of course, how can I help you?" "I am confused," the ambassador admitted. "They have insulted your people, they have attacked a child, yet your species does nothing. Are humans truly as weak as believes?" Continued typing as she answered, "We are not weak." "Then why do you not fight? Why do you not even protest?" "Stop typing." She turned to face the ambassador fully. Her expression was patient, like a teacher explaining something to a student. "Tell me," she said, "when you saw the hit little, what did you feel?" The ambassador thought carefully. Anger, sadness, fear. "And what would you have done if they had hit your child?" I would have run. I would have taken my family and escaped." Nodded slowly. "That is a good response. Running keeps your family safe. Fighting might get them killed." She paused. "Humans feel anger too. We feel sadness. We feel fear. But we also feel something else. Something that other species do not seem to understand." "What is that?" "Patience." The ambassador did not understand, saw this in his face and continued. "When a human is angry, they might shout or cry or throw things. This is normal anger and it passes quickly like a summer storm. But when something truly terrible happens, when someone hurts our children, our families, our loved ones, something changes inside us." His voice remained soft and calm. "The anger does not disappear. It becomes cold. It becomes quiet. It becomes patient. And patient anger is the most dangerous thing in the universe." The ambassador felt a chill run through his body. "What are you planning?" Smiled again, but this time the smile did not reach her eyes. "We are not planning anything. We are simply making preparations." "Preparations for what?" "To make sure that, when the storm comes, only the people who deserve to get hurt will get hurt." The kind doctor spent those 2 days visiting every non-human residence on the station. She offered free medical checkups. She treated minor illnesses. She bandaged small wounds. And at the end of each visit, she would say the same thing. "You might want to stay in your quarters for the next few days. There is a minor situation happening. Nothing to worry about, but better safe than sorry." The alien she visited felt confused but grateful. Was so nice, so caring. Surely she was just being cautious. And his freighter crew worked on their ship in the docking bay. They checked the engines. They loaded supplies. They also quietly locked down the landing systems for all other ships in the bay. When an officer demanded to know what they were doing, smiled his friendly smile. "Just doing some maintenance," he said. "You know how ships are, always something breaking down." The officer grunted and walked away. Humans were too stupid to be a threat, he thought. They were probably just preparing to run away like the cowards they were. On the second night, received a report that most human children had left the station. He laughed when he heard this. "They are fleeing," he announced to his officers. "The prey animals are running. Soon this station will belong to the Dominion." His officers cheered and drank to their coming victory. But one young soldier, newer to conquest than the others, noticed something strange. "Commander," he said quietly, "the children left, but the adults stayed behind. Why would parents send away their children but remain themselves?" Waved away the question. "Because they are cowards. They protect their young and then surrender. It is what prey animals do." The young soldier was not convinced. In the forests of his home world, prey animals did flee when predators came. But there was one exception. There was one time when prey animals did not run. When they were protecting their young, they ran. But when their young were already safe, sometimes they turned around. Sometimes they stopped being prey. The young soldier kept these thoughts to himself. He was probably wrong. The commander was wise and experienced. Surely he knew what he was doing. In the human quarter, poured tea for the humans gathered in his bar. They sat in silence, these soft and emotional creatures. They sipped their drinks and waited. Waited for what? No one outside could have guessed. But the waiting was almost over. The human quarter of Meridian 7 had always been a warm and welcoming place. Colorful lights hung from the ceiling. Music played from open doorways. The smell of cooking food filled the air. Humans laughed and talked and lived their loud, emotional lives. But on this night, the human quarter was dark. The lights were off, the music had stopped, the shops were empty and locked. The hallways stretched out in silence, metal walls reflecting nothing. Stood at the entrance with 20 of his best warriors. He was angry. These pathetic humans had been acting strangely for 2 days now, and he was tired of their games. "They think they can hide from us," said to his soldiers. "They think darkness will protect them, fools." They had excellent night vision. Their eyes could see heat and movement in complete blackness. They were predators, built for hunting in the dark. They marched into the human quarter with weapons ready. Nothing moved. Listened carefully. He could hear the hum of the station's machines. He could hear his own soldiers breathing, but he could not hear any humans. "Search every room," he ordered. "Find them and drag them out." His soldiers spread out, kicking down doors and overturning furniture. The rooms were empty. The beds were made. Personal items had been removed. One soldier found a child's drawing left on a table. It showed a little girl surrounded by flowers. He crumpled it and threw it away. Continued deeper into the quarter. His irritation grew with each empty room. Where were these cowardly creatures? Had they all fled like their children? Then he found. The old man sat alone in his bar, at a small table near the back. A cup of tea steamed in front of him. The only light in the room came from a single dim lamp above his head. Pushed through the door with 3 soldiers behind him. He looked around the empty bar with disgust. "Old man," said, "where are your people?" Took a sip of his tea before answering. When he looked up, his eyes were different than before. The warmth was gone. The kindness had disappeared. What remained was something empty, something cold. "They are here," said quietly, "all around you." Looked around the room, he saw only shadows. "I see nothing." "That is because we did not want you to see us." Laughed, but the sound was uncertain. "You are trying to scare me with tricks. I am of the Dominion. I have conquered 47 worlds. I do not fear prey animals playing games in the dark." Set down his tea. He folded his hands on the table. "Do you know what I did before I opened this bar?" "I do not care. I was a soldier. For 40 years I fought in wars that your people have never heard of. I killed more enemies than I can remember. I watched friends die in my arms. I did terrible things in the name of survival." His voice remained calm and soft. "When I retired, I promised myself I would never hurt another living being. I wanted peace. I wanted to cook food and pour drinks and watch young people laugh." He stood up slowly. Despite his age, his movements were smooth and controlled. "But then one of your soldiers struck a child, a 7-year-old girl who likes to draw flowers. He hit her across the face and kept walking like she was nothing." The lights in the bar flickered. "That made me remember something I had forgotten," continued. "Something I had tried very hard to forget." "What?" asked. His hand moved toward his weapon. "I remembered that I am very, very good at hurting people." The lights went out. In the darkness heard sounds, quick movements, soft impacts, the gasps of his soldiers. When the lights came back on 3 seconds later, his 3 soldiers were on the ground. They were alive, but their weapons were gone. Their armor had been cut in precise places, making it useless. Spun around, pulling out his blade. He saw nothing behind him but shadows. Then a figure stepped out of those shadows. It was the woman who ran the flower shop. She was small and slender, with delicate hands made for arranging petals and leaves. But those hands now held a plasma cutter that had been modified into something deadly. Her face showed no expression at all. "You hurt," said in a voice as flat as stone. "She is my neighbor's daughter. I watch her sometimes when her parents are busy. She likes to help me water the flowers." More figures emerged from the darkness. The friendly freighter captain, Myra the quiet engineer, the gentle cook with his massive arms, the kind doctor, the patient diplomat. And more, dozens more. Every human who had stayed on the station stepped out of the shadows. They were armed. Some had proper weapons. Others had tools modified for violence. All of them had the same cold, empty expression on their faces. Looked at them and felt something he had not felt in many years: fear. "You think you can defeat the Dominion with kitchen knives and cutting tools," he said, trying to sound confident. "You are insects." Walked toward him slowly. "We do not think we can defeat you. We know we can. You are weak, you are emotional, you are prey." Stopped an arm's length away. He was a head shorter than thin and old, but somehow he seemed larger. "Yes," said, "we are emotional. When we are happy, we laugh until our stomachs hurt. When we are sad, we cry until our eyes are red. When we are angry, we shout and throw things and make fools of ourselves." He tilted his head slightly. "But this is not anger, Commander. When you hurt, you did not make us angry. You made us calm. And calm humans are the most dangerous thing you will ever face." Attacked. He was fast. He was strong. He had killed hundreds of enemies in combat. Moved like water around a stone. In less than a second, his blade was on the ground and his arm was twisted behind his back at a painful angle. "I told you," said softly into his ear. "I am very good at hurting people. I just choose not to, most of the time." Throughout the station, they heard the screams of their comrades through their communication devices. One by one, their patrols went silent. The hunt had begun. But the humans were not the prey. The ambassador watched from his window as a group of 5 humans surrounded a patrol in the corridor below. There were massive reptilian warriors, each one trained from birth to fight and kill. There were 3 of them. The humans were smaller, weaker. They had no armor and no military weapons. The fight lasted 11 seconds. When it was over, the 3 lay on the ground, alive but unable to move. Their weapons were destroyed. Their armor was cut in places that left them helpless. The humans bound their hands and feet with quick, practiced movements. Then the humans placed a sign next to the defeated warriors. It read, "They will live, they will remember." The ambassador had fought in many battles. He had seen rage and hatred and bloodlust. He understood those things, but he had never seen anything like this. The humans did not look angry. They did not shout or curse or celebrate. They worked in silence with the focus of craftsmen doing precise work. When they finished, they simply walked away to find their next target. It was terrifying. Throughout Meridian 7, the same scene repeated itself again and again. Patrols were ambushed from unexpected directions. They were outmaneuvered in their own hunting grounds. They were defeated by creatures they had dismissed as weak prey animals. Myra had done her work well. The station's cameras showed the humans where every soldier was located. The doors opened and closed at her command. The lights turned on and off when she wanted them to. They tried to fight back. They were warriors after all. They had conquered dozens of worlds, but they could not hit what they could not see. They could not chase what disappeared into the walls. They could not understand an enemy that felt no fear and showed no mercy. Led a team through the maintenance tunnels toward the docking bay. His mission was simple: make sure no could escape and make sure no reinforcements could arrive. An officer spotted them and opened fire. The energy blasts lit up the dark tunnel. Did not run. He did not hide. He simply moved to the side, calculated the angle of fire, and continued forward. 2 of his crew members circled around behind the officer. 30 seconds later, the officer was bound and disarmed. "You cannot do this," the officer said through gritted teeth. "The Dominion will destroy you. They will burn your worlds. They will hunt your species to extinction." looked down at him with no expression on his face. Maybe, but you will not be there to see it. He left the officer where he lay and continued toward the docking bay. In the main trading hall, found a group of soldiers who had taken position behind a barricade of furniture and equipment. There were 7 of them, well armed and ready to fight. Walked toward them openly. "Stop," one soldier shouted. "Stop or we fire." Kept walking. His massive arms hung at his sides. His gentle cook's smile was gone, replaced by something hard and empty. The soldiers fired. Moved through the energy blasts like a ghost. He did not seem to dodge them so much as flow around them, knowing where they would be before they arrived. It was impossible. It was terrifying. He reached the barricade and began to work. When he finished, 7 soldiers lay in a pile, groaning in pain but very much alive. Their weapons were bent and broken. Their pride was shattered. Walked away without looking back. Managed to escape from his bar during the confusion. He ran through the station corridors, calling desperately for reinforcements that never came. His communication device only gave him static. His remaining soldiers did not answer. He tried to reach his ship but found the docking bay locked down. His crew had sealed every entrance. He tried to contact his fleet in orbit, but the signals were blocked. Myra had made sure of that. Finally, in desperation, grabbed a hostage. It was a merchant who had been hiding in a storage room. The small, furry alien squeaked with fear as pressed a blade to its throat. "Stay back," screamed at the humans who appeared at the end of the corridor. "I will kill it. I swear I will." The human stopped, stepped to the front of the group. She still looked calm, still looked patient, but her eyes were cold as starlight. "Let the hostage go," she said simply. "No, you will let me reach my ship or this creature dies." Tilted her head slightly. "You still do not understand, do you? We are not doing this because we are angry at you. We are doing this to send a message." "What message?" "That hurting a human child has consequences. That every species in this galaxy will hear about what happened on Meridian 7. That the next time sees a human child, they will remember this night, and they will walk the other way." His grip on the hostage tightened. "I do not care about your messages. I care about survival." His voice came from behind. "Then you should know something about that hostage." Spun around. The old man stood 10 meters away, hands in his pockets, looking as calm as if he were waiting for tea. "We evacuated all the civilians already," continued. "Every species, every family, every innocent person is safe. That creature in your arms is not what you think it is." The hostage suddenly spoke in a cheerful human voice. "Hi, I am nice to meet you." Looked down in shock. The in his arms waved at him with a small furry paw. He could now see that the fur was a costume, and inside was a teenage human girl with a bright smile. "Surprise," said. Script loosened in confusion. In that moment 3 humans moved at once. His blade was knocked away. His arms were pinned. His legs were swept from under him. He crashed to the floor with standing over him. "The Dominion has conquered 47 worlds," said quietly. "You will never conquer a 48th. Throughout the station, the last soldiers were being defeated and bound, not killed. The humans were very careful about that. Every would survive this night. They would survive to tell the story. They would survive to spread the warning. They would survive to remember what happened when humans stopped being calm." And in that memory, in that fear, lay the true victory. Not destruction, not revenge. Just a message delivered clearly and permanently into the minds of a warrior species. Do not harm human children. Ever. 1 week had passed since the night the humans took back Meridian 7. The soldiers had been loaded onto their ships and sent home. Every single one of them was alive, just as the humans had promised. They carried their bruises and their broken pride back to the Dominion. They also carried a message. was placed in an escape pod and launched toward space. Inside the pod, a recording played on repeat. It showed every human who had stayed on the station during the fight, standing together in the trading hall. Spoke for all of them. "We do not want war," she said in the recording. "We do not want conquest. We do not want revenge. We just want to live in peace and raise our families and be kind to our neighbors. But if you threaten our children again, if any species threatens our children, we will not stop until the threat is ended. This is not a warning. This is a promise. And humans always keep their promises." The recording played over and over during his long journey home. He could not turn it off. He could not look away from those calm, cold human faces. By the time he reached territory, he was shaking. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting to discuss the Meridian 7 incident. Representatives from dozens of species gathered in the Great Hall. They wanted to understand what had happened. They wanted to know what humans truly were. A warrior, old and from many battles, stood to speak first. "I have fought many species in my life," he said. "I have faced enemies who screamed with rage. I have faced enemies who laughed with madness. I understand those things. I know how to fight those things." He paused, his deep voice filling the silent hall. But the humans, when they were pushed too far, they did not become angry. They became cold. They became patient. They became the most efficient violence I have ever witnessed, and they delivered that violence without joy or cruelty, only purpose. The shook his massive head slowly. "That terrifies me more than any battle frenzy I have ever seen." The ambassador spoke next, his small voice barely reaching the back of the hall. "Before the fighting began, the human doctor visited my people. She checked our health. She treated our small injuries, and then she told us to stay safe in our quarters." The ambassador's antenna quivered with emotion. They were about to fight a terrible battle, and their first thought was to protect us, the innocent, the bystanders. He looked around at the assembled representatives. "How do you fight something that separates kindness from violence so precisely? How do you face a species that can hold a child gently in the morning and break a warrior's arm at night?" The council debated for many hours. They watched recordings from the station cameras. They listened to testimonies from witnesses. They tried to understand. In the end, an ancient species called the, who had existed for millions of years and watched many civilizations rise and fall, offered their wisdom. "Humans are not dangerous because they are strong," the elder said. "Many species are strong. Humans are not dangerous because they are smart. Many species are smart. Humans are dangerous because they care. They care so deeply about their families, their communities, their children, that they will do anything to protect them." The elder's many eyes blinked slowly. And when a human stops feeling afraid, when they stop trying to avoid conflict, when they become calm and patient and focused, there is no force in the universe that can protect you from what comes next. Remember this lesson well. The story of Meridian 7 spread across the galaxy. It was told in bars and markets and government halls. It was taught to children and soldiers and diplomats. It became legend, then warning, then law. Never harm a human child. Never threaten a human family. Never push humans past their breaking point. Because their patience has a limit, and what lies beyond that limit is something no species wants to face. On Meridian 7, life slowly returned to normal. The shops reopened. The music played again. The crowds filled the corridors. Opened his bar to all species once more. He poured drinks with the same gentle smile he had always worn. The aliens who visited treated him with new respect, but he waved away their praise. "I am just an old man who makes tea," he would say, "nothing more." But sometimes, late at night, young aliens would ask him about the fight, about how the humans had moved so fast and struck so precisely, about how they had known where every enemy would be before they arrived. Would just shrug and refill their glasses. "We protected our family, that is all. Any species would do the same." But the aliens knew that was not quite true. Many species would have run. Many species would have surrendered. Many species would have raged and fought and lost. Only humans had waited. Only humans had prepared. Only humans had turned their love into something so terrifying that a warrior empire would never recover from the lesson. Rebuilt her flower shop in the same location as before. She arranged her plants with the same delicate care. She smiled at her customers with the same warm kindness. One day came to visit. The little girl's bruise had faded completely. She brought a new drawing to show. It showed stick figures of humans holding hands, surrounded by aliens of every color and shape. At the top, in crayon letters, she had written, "MY Family." Looked at the drawing for a long time. Then she carefully placed it in a frame and hung it on the wall of her shop, where everyone could see it. "It is beautiful," she told. "It is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen." Smiled and asked if she could help water the flowers. Outside the shop, walked past with the ambassador. They were discussing trade agreements and diplomatic relations, normal work for a normal day. The ambassador looked at with wonder. "You are so different now," he said. "So warm, so kind. It is hard to believe you are the same person from that night." Smiled at him, and this time the smile reached her eyes. "We are always this person," she said. "The warmth and the coldness exist together. The kindness and the capability. Most of the time you only see the gentle side of us, and we hope it stays that way." She looked up at the stars visible through the station windows. "We really do just want peace. We want to cook food and raise children and make friends with other species. We want to laugh and cry and live our loud, emotional lives." Her smile faded just slightly. "But we will never forget what we can become when we need to. And now, neither will anyone else." The galaxy turned on its axis. Stars burned and planets spun, and life continued in its endless variety. Somewhere out there, a child asked its parent about the story of Meridian 7. The parent looked down at its offspring with something like fear in its eyes. "Never go near humans," the parent said. "They seem soft, but they are not. They seem weak, but they are not. And if you ever hurt one of their children—" The parent could not finish the sentence. It did not need to. The lesson had been taught. The message had been received. And the humans of Meridian 7 continued their lives, gentle and kind and warm, surrounded by neighbors who finally understood what lived behind those friendly smiles. Patience, purpose, and a love so fierce that the stars themselves learned to fear it.